Hey all, Xander Kai here. Today we're going to go over the first round of the Guild Expedition. We're going to do this by negotiating rather than fighting today. I will do another video on how to fight through it. First things first, this is especially important later on. We'll go to our friend's tavern, click on Tavern Shop, and scroll down to Extra Turn. It's going to cost 1,500 and it's going to last for 15 minutes. Going back to the expedition, on our first few encounters, we only have two choices. We have gold or supplies, so we simply pop in gold in every spot and pop in supplies in the remaining ones. You're guaranteed to get the first couple ones correct, no matter how you do it. So again, simply put gold in every spot and then follow it up with supplies in the rest. The reason why I say it in this order is you will get more gold later on than you will supplies. So just go with your highest resource. All right, now we switch to 3. And even if we had not bought that extra turn, we could still go through and put gold in every spot and then supplies and then wine. What I do though is I switch up the last one to a different item simply so I know if I'm going to have to use it at all. Now we know those 4 are supplies, and that last one is wine. And the remaining 3 are also wine. Alright, now, if you have not bought your extra turn, this would become the first encounter where you would actually have to do a little bit of guessing. And I'm going to show you how we would do that. We put in all 4 different resources, and this is going to give us an idea of what we are working with. So now I would go through, and the reason why I'm setting it up this way is that I want to see, we already have 2 golds down. This will give me 3 of all the different items. Again, we've switched everything up. We know that this guy now has to be stone because gold and supplies are both taken. Here we know this has to be gold because stone and supplies are taken. Here we know that this is got to be supplies. So for this first last option over here, we could either have supplies or we could have stone. We'll take a guess because we did buy that extra turn. We were incorrect, but because we have that extra turn, it is not a problem. All right, moving right along. When we go through, again, we only have 3 resources, so we know we're guaranteed to get it correct by the end. Did it? And there we are. As we move further ahead, there will be more and more items that you can use in the encounter, and it will become progressively more difficult. I will do a second video for the later rounds, but a lot of guilds require you to complete level 1 of the Guild Expedition, and this is simply an easy way to do it. Again, we're back to 4 items. Because we have that extra turn purchased, we know we're guaranteed to get it correct. So we'll start off, we'll go gold in every spot except for 1 supplies. We know that this last one has to be gold because it says wrong place and there's only 1 spot left that could be gold. Now we'll put the supplies down in the other 2 spots. And now we know it either has to be dye or wine because supplies were incorrect. Gold has already been used. So I see I have the most of dye. I'll try dye. That happened to be correct. These encounters with the gold chests are always slightly more difficult or require more items later on. But again, they're pretty easy to solve on the first level. Now we're going to go through again, and you saw how I did all 5 different items. The most important thing on these encounters is to figure out what you're supposed to be working with. Oftentimes, a wrong item is better than a correct item because you know that it still has to be used. If it's correct, you're never sure if there's going to be a second one until you get closer towards the end. All right, here I have 3 different supplies that were wrong items. It means that supplies have to go in this spot. Now we go over here and we see that marble and supplies have been used, so we know it has to be stone. On this far spot, we see marble and supplies have been used, so we know it has to be stone. So now we look, and marble is still required. If we look, all other 3 spaces have already been filled with things that have to be there. So we know this last space is marble. Sometimes you are looking for what is not there rather than what is there, and you'll see that the more you do it. So again, we're back to 4 items, nice and simple to figure out as we bought that extra turn. A lot of players will not buy that extra turn on their first level, and then that's completely a personal choice. If you're not somebody that has a tremendous amount of goods, then it definitely pays off to buy it. Just make sure you have a full attempt bar before you do. Otherwise, you're just wasting Tavern Silver. Now we're back, and we still only have 4 choices. So when we scroll through, we see that the rest of them could be supplies. So we'll put, and this is what I meant about the correct answer, is because it was correct, we don't know if there's supplies in any of the other spots. So again, we're going to have to use supplies. And we'll put one last random item down. So we see that the wine is in the wrong person. We'll try it in these 2 spots. And we know this last spot has to be marble. Gold was incorrect. Supplies have been incorrect in another spot. And wine was the wrong person. So we go and we only have 1 choice left. So we know it's going to be marble. Usually I would not recommend buying extra turns with medals, but because I'm making a video right now, it's easy to go ahead and do that. Start early in the week, wait till your attempt bar fills up, and you should be able to go through the entire thing in a couple of days. Alright, as we went through, we put all 5 items down in different spots, again to try to figure out what we were going to be working with. We see that there's only 3 items left, and I still have 3 turns, so we're guaranteed again to get this correct. So I'll put gold down in the 3 spots that it wasn't in before. I'll put the marble down on the gold spot because I know it has to go somewhere. Now we see the marble has to go in this last spot over here, and that dye has to go in this spot as both marble and gold were already used and both of them were the wrong person. Alright, now we see that we have 6 encounters. Or 6 items. The way that we now do this is we go through and we put down 5 different items. Now we see that we still have 5 items that it could be, and we're not sure if stone is going to be repeated. So what I do is I put down the item I have not used first, or any items I have not used first, the items that were correct because we don't know if we're going to have to use them again, and then the items that I have the 2 most of. One thing about this is it's important to put the item that you don't know if it exists under a wrong place item, and any wrong person items into an empty spot. The reason why I say this is you know that that item right here with this incorrect, if I guessed marble and marble didn't go there, I would have 2 incorrects and have a lot less of an idea on what item could possibly go there. So as I hit pay and negotiate, I see that we didn't indeed need any marble, and we have 4 items left. So again, we'll put our items down in new spots that they haven't been in before. Oh, so I would have made a mistake here because I could easily put wine back in the same spot, but that wouldn't do any good to me. I already know it's incorrect there. So I'll simply switch the wine and the supplies that I was going to put down. You can see I have all 4 remaining items down on the board. Hit pay and negotiate. And now when we come up here, we can see on the second and third spot they both have coins. So we know that the first spot has to be coins as it's the only spot remaining. From here, we see that wine is right here in the center column. Oh, my goodness, I did this incorrectly. I'm so sorry. So wine, coming down, wine has to go in this spot right here, as it's in the second and third place. So it has to go in the first one. Then we look and we see that stone are in the first and second spots, and the third spot's open. Only place it could go. So again, we'll put stone in the third place person. And that leaves supplies. We can see it's supplies for 2 reasons. One, every one of the three other resources has been used here. And 2, a supply has to be used somewhere on the board, and there's not one there yet. So we'll hit pay and negotiate. We go through, and we've finished that encounter. So there are 16 encounters on every level, with 4 of kind of these, quote, boss encounters that will remove the fog for you. And there are 4 different levels. The first 3 levels will add up to the 48 that you'll see as 100% completion, and I'll show you that here in a second. So again, we have 4 remaining items in 4 spaces. We don't know if the lumber is going to be used again, so we make sure to put it under an item that says wrong person. And as you see, we've put all 4 items that are possibly remaining in different spots. Again, lumber was not used. So here we look and we have supplies in the 3rd and the 5th spot. So we know it has to go in the first one. We're not sure on the order of the other 2. So we'll put, we can do it one of 2 ways. We have 2 extra turns left. So I could put gold in both these spots, and whichever one was incorrect, I could put marble down in. Or I could put gold and marble down in 2 different spots. In this instance, I would recommend putting the gold down in both spots so you're not using up an extra marble. So we've got everything is correct in its different places. Supplies have already been put in this spot. So that means the only thing that could go there is marble. We click, and again, we are correct. Continuing onwards, we have 5 different items. 5 different items in 5 different spots. And we got lucky here. We got the first 2 correct, but we see we have the answer for all 3 remaining items. We just don't know what spots they go in. So I simply shift everything over, and we got it all correct. It could have been one other possibility as well, but we got it on that try. So only 2 encounters left on this level. And again, we're going to put 5 different items down. And then when we come back, we're going to put the item we didn't have before, the correct item we had, and then the 2 items we had in the wrong person, wrong spots. All right, now we know what we are working with. We can see stone is in the 1st and the 4th position, and then it needs to be used somewhere. That means the only place it could be used is in the 2nd position. The only other item we have left is gold, and it would have to go in these other 2 spots because stone has already been tried. As we do this, we get it right, and we move along. On the Guild Expedition, on the first 3 levels, this spot right before the gold chests will always have troops in it. So you'll see on the 3rd encounter, the 7th encounter, the 11th encounter, and the 15th encounter, those spots would all have troops as their reward. On the 1st level, it's 1, 2nd level, it is 2, and the 3rd level, it is 3 troops per square. This can really help you out with different quests and events when you have to acquire troops. So we'll buy one last attempt, and as we go to this spot, we see we now have 7 options. So what I do is I put down 5 different items to begin with. We can see we got a lot of incorrects. And now what we'll do is we will put the items that we did not try before under the 2 items that were the wrong person. And then the other items we will fill into different spots. So we know that gold has to be either spot 4 or 5 or both. We know that dye has to be spot 1 or 3 or both. And we know that lumber has to be either in spot 1, 2, or 3. Actually, I made a mistake. We still have marble that could be a possibility. So what we'll do is we'll put lumber down in the first one. We'll put dye down in the second one. Put gold down in the third one. And I'm going to put marble in the fourth. And the reason why I'm doing marble in the fourth is we see we already have 2 different answers there. If marble's incorrect, we know that it will have to be gold there. So we come through. We got it all correct just by being lucky. We would have gotten it on the next turn no matter what either way. So Face of the Ancients, and we move on to level 2. So that's just a quick run through of the first level of the Guild Expedition. A couple things I didn't point out. So we go down here and we go to our overview. We can see how many encounters each person in our guild has finished. You'll see it says 048. That 48 is figured out from the first 3 levels of the Guild Expedition. If you go on to the 4th, it will actually say 64 of 48 if you can make it that far. Your 100% total is only figured out based upon the first 48. Everything else after that is added on as a bonus. So instead of doing 64 as 100%, they did 64 as I think 133%, and 48 says 100%. Sounds confusing. It's really not. And every single person in your guild, their encounters count the same. You'll get more points if you are a higher age player than everybody else, which will add to your guild treasury. But the number of encounters you complete goes towards the percentage of your guild. So every player, whether you're in the virtual future or in the Iron Age, your percentage completion counts the same and works towards your guild's total. If you get first place, then you will get a 25% power boost off of everything your guild has earned over all the points your guild has earned over the course of the expedition. If you get second place, you will get a 15% boost. And if you get third place, then you get a 10% boost. This really helps your guild level up and is something that your guild should push forward to win every week. Other than that, you always do have the option to fight. And if you're a good fighter, sometimes it can be worth it. And I will again make a video on how to do that later on. I will also pop on a video on how to complete level 4. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment bar. This is really meant for a couple of guild members, but if you're finding this, hopefully it helps you out. Have a great day, and until next time, Xander Kai out.